Thank you for taking the time to do the podcast, man. I really appreciate it. So the thing that I like to start with on this podcast is your personal heavy metal history, those bands and records that you remember that like stuck with you and got you into the genre and how to over time to where you're at now.
So you mean like basically the influential records
Hmm.
for me? Well, it started early. My interest in music even before I actually picked up the instrument, and so this might not be even heavy metal bands, but
That's okay.
I think some of them started the genre. So I started with like a 70s or cross 70s 80s hard rock, let's say Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, Uriah Heep. Then moved, to the heavier stuff. Priest, Maiden, yeah, Whitesnake. Although Whitesnake started in
Nice.
70s, but of course, speaking of Whitesnake, if you are asking about particular records, I
Hmm.
can't forget the 1987 one, of course, which was for me like something like a hard rock Bible of guitar playing.
Yeah.
Great John Sykes, who passed away not long ago. Also, speaking of Guitar Bible, so that came later. Let's say first Annihilator record, Allison.
Oh yes.
Uh, that was like the Bible of heavy metal playing for me. So I grew with that record as a man and as a guitarist as well. And yeah, then it continued, not only with the real heavy stuff,
Hmm.
but I went separate ways. I like even the lighter way. I like a lot of pop rock or pop stuff as well, ambient music. The music I like doesn't even necessarily contain the guitar actually. So
Yeah.
that's like a brief
Felt like
introduction.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
So speaking of Annihilator, and you guys did a cover of Alice in Hell back on the
Right.
2016 album, I believe.
Actually, we started with the album 2016, but it was released
Okay,
2017. Uh-huh.
27. Okay. Is you chose that cover because it was such like a very like inspirational song to you?
I mean, for me, it was kind of bonus because we
Mhm.
all agreed on that. We actually planned to do that even on a previous record, Hammer of the Witches, for 2015.
Oh,
But it
nice.
was really like a last call, so it didn't make it on the. It didn't make it even. I mean, to the recording process. But in 2000 for 2017, Cryptoriana Seductiveness of Decay, we recorded this one. I think it got a lot of appreciation, even from the man himself. Jeff Waters actually messaged us that this is in his opinion, the best cover of the song he ever heard. So
It is really good.
that,
Yeah.
that meant a lot. Still means a
Yeah.
lot.
So as far as like you being interested in being a musician, when did that come into play versus like your discovery of music, or was it something that was fostered since you were a little kid?
Partly, yes. I remember my mom in 80s, uh, took me to the cinema, and you need to bear in mind that back then the cinemas in Eastern Europe were barely play the new stuff because it didn't make it to the Eastern Bloc basically. So there were a
Wow.
lot of lot of movies. You guys got like immediately. We waited like for, let's say, either few years, like a lot of years, or the cinemas brought up the older stuff in order to have something to broadcast actually.
Yeah.
So my mom took me to see A Hard Day's Night by the
Okay.
Beatles. Yeah, and I was like back then. I was I don't know. I might be like 10 or maybe slightly over, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I could do that. That would be fun.
Yeah.
But the reality came years later. As you might be aware or not, I started to play. I've been interested in music for longer than before I started to play actual instrument guitar, which was when I was 17. And first, like let's say, real band. I have a band before which were real for me, but let's say first band with a bigger recognition was Root from Czech Republic, and
Okay.
I joined them when I was 24 in 1999.
As far as like discovering music, like albums and bands, was that also the case? Like you would get stuff way later than the rest of the world, pretty much?
Yeah, I mean, especially in 80s, I mean 70s, 80s, there were a few, I mean, lucky guys who made it abroad either they have a relatives abroad or they've been lucky to work abroad, I mean, construction site guys and stuff. And so some snippets of records leaked to a Czech Republic even when they still were relatively fresh, but unfortunately for me, I haven't got that connection.
Yeah.
So there were illegal markets with that. Of course, no one could afford the original, so these were all like bootleg tapes, basically MC tapes, the blank ones, and the guys, re-recorded it out of actual vinyls.
Oh, wow.
Because CDs, and sell them for affordable money. That's how a majority of people actually got to the music, and of course years later. So I discovered, the early Queen records
Oh,
just
very
in
nice.
the late 80s. Because I didn't have a connection the other people had, so it slightly changed in started to change in since 90s, and so the actual new recordings started to came just at the time of release for whole Europe, but the prices of actual physical media, CDs, were, especially CDs, were ridiculous. So young guys really couldn't afford them. The price,
Yeah.
for example, the price of the CD back in beginning of 90s was like half of a month's salary actually.
Wow.
So we trade the cassette tapes this time original, because cassette tapes were somehow like affordable, but again we were like, I don't know, 15, 16, so not really having a lot of money. So
Yeah.
it came that way that, for example, three buddies get the money together and bought one cassette tape and then borrowed it, then it rotated between
Yeah.
them.
Man, it's really something when you talk to somebody like yourself, and a lot of people, how much we take for granted getting stuff, immediately, whereas like there's countries that have to like spend, like you said, half a month's wage just to get a CD.
That's the past, but back
Yeah.
then it was the reality. It's the past now. CDs are affordable, cassette tapes are affordable, vinyls are back, fortunately.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But back then it wasn't easy, to get. And same was actually with the movies and stuff.
So how is that translated to as well, you getting into playing instruments? Was it also kind of a struggle to like find an instrument to start playing?
It's a very good point. because I started at the age 17, which was slightly, after so-called revolution in Czech Republic, and so instruments were still, there wasn't a really big market with proper instruments. Like nowadays, you go to the Guitar Center and Fenders, Gibsons, ESPs, Schecters, and all this stuff. The instruments from abroad, there were only few like music shops. The instruments from abroad started to come to the Czech Republic, but these were really non-affordable for us. Fortunately / unfortunately, the back then cheap Asian guitars started to leak in or come into Czech Republic as well. I have a cat here who is very demanding.
Mine usually does the same thing, but she's asleep on the couch.
Yeah, but now, she likes to walk through my keyboard, which is not good. So back to the instruments. My first guitar was a Czech production. It was a Jolana guitars, and they actually made comeback a few years ago. It might be actually more than 10 years now. And a lot of guitar players in 60s, 70s, 80s, and me, beginning of 90s, started to learn to play the guitar using this instrument. And it was a horrible guitar, truly uninspirational, with a big action. I'm not mentioning pickups or overall sound, but I somehow made it work. And speaking of those, but I wanted a better instrument, so I went. I got something like side job for the period of holidays, summer vacation. So I worked 2 months to get that guitar, which was like, let me think, how much was it? It was like $200.
Okay.
So I need to work like for 2 months to get this. It was step up, but still, cheaper instruments. So, and then a couple of years later, I got my first proper guitar by Ibanez from the music shop.
Nice.
And then it continued, getting better instruments I can afford, because I was already started to have a daily job, so have a proper income. Then I made it as a professional musician. Nowadays, speaking of guitars, I'm having great endorsement support from Schecter Guitars.
Yeah.
And story continues.
Yeah. So what was your local music scene like when you were growing up, and how did you get involved in that, start playing in bands and everything?
There were a lot of kids interested in playing instruments. Quite a lot of young bands, in mid 90s or late 90s. I mean the major scene, of course, was like pop mainly. There was a huge alternative scene with all the new 90s alternative music.
Yeah.
Of course, grunge was hitting quite soon in beginning and mid 90s. So we were meeting with the musicians in rehearsal rooms, of course in a pubs, talking about the big plans for us and stuff. And there were club scene, which was also important support. There was a kind of serious chain of club scene back then. They're starting to disappear, like, I don't know, 5-10 years ago. Speaking of especially my city, we have let's say from 5 to 10 venues, and nowadays it's like 4. I don't know.
Wow.
So I
That's
can
a
I
lot
can
to
see
go with.
I can see the decrease. Maybe I'm not monitoring the local scene that closely anymore.
Yeah.
Might be the thing that people just have another duties, and issues, troubles, everyday stuff. So the music slash whole culture got a bit at the side on the side of interest.
Yeah. I want to say I noticed your Dissection shirt, and I was
Oh yeah.
curious about your favorite Dissection album.
Well, that's this one. Yeah.
Okay.
I like all of them, but they didn't do that many. Yeah,
Right.
so,
Yeah, just three.
but this one, if it's just the one, this is this one.
Yeah, they're a band I got into kind of late, like Journey, and funny enough, it was that record that I heard first, but I pull me in, and then I Rain Chaos, and that one pulled me in, and I went back and listened to the other records, and it was like, okay, now I see the progression of where the band went over their career, and they're, you know, lead singer stuff aside and lead guitar stuff aside, they're still, I mean, just such a great band. I mean, I love their stuff.
Yeah, very
So
influential.
yeah, I was gonna say, as far as like your guitar playing, you play like a lot of melodies. That like, is that part of your learning style of like figuring out how to play guitar, like to play like melodic stuff?
It's I kind of trying to experiment. Basically, even now I'm trying almost every day to
Hmm.
absorb something new, or let's say new for me. My existing for decades, but guitar is so complex that I'm most probably not able to cover it all in a single life. It's amazing. It's like ongoing journey, and I was like when I was younger, yeah, I was like was really into it. I'm still into it, but
Yeah.
I was like, okay, after like age 35, I'm gonna know everything. What next? So now, this is this is not how this works, or at least not for me.
Yeah.
So believe it or not, I still practice the guitar, and I'm still loving it. Maybe even more than in the past, and trying to absorb the new stuff. And it might be anything I hear, and this might not be even be like a big names,
Mhm.
well, all the guitarists know. I mean, there might be a local guy who I recognize something amazing, so I try to figure out what the guy is doing, and that leads me, to the also to the study of theory, the melodic approach, as you mentioned, and all kind of stuff and weird noises.
Yeah, so I guess seeing I still want to ask you some about music and everything, but just to touch on the new album real quick, as far as it seems like you guys definitely put a lot more melodic and solo stuff in this record than the last one. Was that like a decision?
I think it went really naturally, yeah. But
Hmm.
the album is different. We wanted to do different approach, uh, and also we have two new members,
Yeah.
Donny Burbage on guitar, and nowadays my wife Zoe Fedorov on keyboards and female vocals, and both are skilled songwriters as well. Yeah,
Hmm.
so they brought something new, fresh into the whole process, and it clicked. It worked actually. So you can hear the input from more people. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask how did the writing kind of change when Donny joined and like he's kind of bouncing ideas and guitar stuff off each other.
It clicked really well. The process is, because the Cradle for years like either international band, but
Hmm.
even if not, guys were and are living, in various places of Europe slash world.
Yeah.
So we always demo stuff, like in bouncing ideas. Each, member in their own new, like a home mini studio, sending bouncing ideas, back and forth. But this time, when you mentioned Donny and Zoe, we tried, as we are, and I'm mentioning it also that we are, talking via Zoom. We tried actually an actual Zoom writing session, like,
Oh, nice.
like interactive. Like it was something new and I think really good. Uh, Working really good because it felt, of course, it's not the same, but as you are in the same room, but
Yeah.
it felt like a similar, like an actual session with a lot of interaction rather than send the ideas and then wait for a day or more. So the ideas were cooking like in a real time, you know,
Hmm.
and yeah, it almost felt like old days in 90s or early 2000, band like five guys in a rehearsal room.
Yeah, I think that's the nice thing about technology is like being able to have everybody like just sit wherever they're at or get on a call like this and be like, "Hey, I got this idea. Can we run through it real quick?" And like,
Hmm.
because when the creative juices are going, you got to kind of like keep going with it. Otherwise, it might go away and you'll lose it. Um, I really think that
Exactly.
technology has
Yeah.
helped a lot of that. Yeah.
I need to,
Um,
whenever I have an idea, I usually need to, record it either on
mhm.
computer or if I'm out of computer, I'm using just a recorder on my phone, you know, in order not to forget it. Because
Yeah.
it happened to me in the past few times that
Uh,
I think I've lost a couple of good ideas,
Goodness.
not to remember them.
Yeah, that happens, man. I'll be sitting here sometimes too, and like I'll be like, okay, yeah, I should do like this little riff, and like, well, I'm not at home, I'm at work or something, and like, I get home and I'm like, what was I thinking about doing? And I just can't remember. Like it's gone.
Yeah, yeah.
It's funny how that happens. So another, I kind of looked up about you beforehand. You're a big movie fan, film buff. So I'd be curious to hear some of like your favorite stuff you've seen recently that you enjoyed.
I'm not probably the the correct person speaking of recent movies because I don't like most of nowadays production, to be honest.
It's
From what
fair.
I saw, but I got few tips for new movies. Of course, there are great new movies. I got few tips which I need to check out, but other than that, I'm playing the older stuff, from 80s and 90s. So, well, recently, what I saw recently, something new. Second Beetlejuice,
Oh
actually,
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
I'm a big fan of the first one, like big. So,
Hmm.
um, so I don't want to judge it too hard. The second one, I think it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I certainly expected it to be way worse, but still, can it beat the first one?
No,
No, no chance.
no.
Other than that, as I mentioned, I'm playing the old stuff we can talk about, but I'm probably
Yeah.
not the right person for the new stuff. That would be Danny actually. Danny's going to the cinema all the time, even on tour.
Oh,
We
nice.
sometimes join him, so he's really like monitoring,
current
the new movie
films.
scene.
I mean, hey, I'm honestly with you, man. Like, I personally watch a lot of old 80s stuff, mostly like horror, my jam. I actually really got back to VHS, and so like I'm already getting like a kick of like 80s horror VHS stuff, like Texas Chainsaw 3 and Evil Dead
Oh yeah,
2.
cool. Evil Dead, yeah. I was like, can I say word shit into this podcast?
Oh, please.
I was shitting bricks when I first saw Evil Dead. It was 80s actually. Someone leaked the VHS was another leakage, into Czech Republic. There was all the movies leaked. Like we saw the stuff like Evil Dead, Rambo, Rocky, and Schwarzenegger stuff, and on VHS in mid or late 80s because it was leaking here, but of course that was a pirate copies. And the funny thing was that they were all dubbed into the Czech language by the one guy, who is a quite famous singer from a rock band since bands exist since like 70s. So no matter which character was in the movie, it was translated, dubbed into Czech language by the same guy. So no matter if it's female or male, and he was skilled in languages, so perfect English. He even translated from Chinese and stuff. So he was really skilled.
Wow.
But he, like overdubbed it to Czech language with not a real like emotions. It was just like you reading newspapers.
Just saying the words.
So that's But if it wouldn't exist, we wouldn't understand what the people in the movies are saying, because not a lot of people could speak English or any other languages other than Russian.
Man, were a lot of movies that way, like just having to be overdubbed and everything like that.
I mean, those because there was no way that movies like Evil Dead or Rambo or Rocky would make it to the official TV broadcast. Just forget about it. So it was all black market.
Man,
you would be lucky, not even every family had a video player. I mean, VHS player. I mean, most of the families have just only black and white TV back then. And I remember, there was one a bit more wealthy family of my classmate, because the dad was working for police and was an officer, so they have more money, so they have a color TV and VHS player recorder. So I remember like half of a class were going to their house watching those illegal VHS tapes, because otherwise there was no way to see them, only later.
Man, I love the inventiveness of that too. Like just one guy sitting there and like overdubbing it. It's because otherwise, like, it's you make a really excellent point. Like, how else would you have known what they're saying? Like, that guy's commitment's great. I love it. Yeah, the 80s and 90s, the films feel so raw, and nowadays, not that there aren't great movies out, but sometimes the production's just a little too perfect, and I think that's why I've been kind of like going back to VHS. Like, it's great, and seeing all these very high definition is great sometimes, but sometimes unlock.
It could be great, although I remember just not long ago I was watching Once Upon a Time in the West, the classic from late 60s. And ages ago, I bought a remastered DVD with like really clean the picture and a sound, and I think it's amazing, But bearing in mind it's from 1968 or ish, it's just those movies are not exist anymore. I think those movies are not being shoot anymore, in my opinion. Or give me Or give me some recommendation. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I mean, yeah, it's kind of especially westerns. You don't see very many westerns anymore. I think there's like one coming out this year called Eddington. But the
Hmm.
last like good western that I saw was the remake of 310 to Yuma, Whistle
Hmm.
Crow,
And
and
I haven't seen that.
it's pretty good.
Hmm.
For a remake, but
Okay.
it feels like a western. It's very like
Cool.
dry feeling. I don't know if that makes sense. Um, oh yeah, so I did want to ask too. Obviously, one of your stage makeups, you wear like the pin kind of look. So you're obviously like influenced by horror movies a little bit yourself, I would say, right?
There were two different approaches. First, yeah, I was thinking, and it didn't come overnight.
Hmm.
You can see the focus. I think I first started to experiment with that in 2019,
Hmm.
where I got Hellraiser kind of coat by Kim Dilla from Killa Custom Rockwear, and it was meant to be mainly for meet and greet.
Oh,
So
cool.
I haven't really think about because I have a different outfit for stage.
Yeah.
But then we got few festivals when there was quite cold outside. So I was like, I don't want to really wear like vest or stuff. So I tried it a few times and I was like, that's kind of cool. And also I didn't, of course, I love the movies. Yeah, I think up until the sixth one, up until fourth one, in my opinion, they are brilliant. And the
Yeah.
fifth and sixth one, I like them a lot as well. After that, unfortunately, it's suffering with probably lowering the budget,
Yep.
which caused not really great cast either.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and the second thing is that I didn't brought it just by an accident. Cradle and Pinhead has a connection
Yep.
since like I think Midian days, where Doug Bradley did some speeches on the record, and he did more speeches on the following records as well. I think
Yeah.
the last one
Damnation.
was 2021. Existence is Futile. Yeah,
Oh,
the
nice.
previous record. Uh, so there was always like that Pinhead style or Pinhead Cenobite vibe around the Cradle. So I think I just brought it to the stage, yeah, as an image, as a part of the theater, because a good rock or metal show, especially if it's kind of horror show, which I would dare to say Cradle are,
Yeah.
is about kind of theater performing as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate how
So
you
I
guys
think,
change up the looks and
mm,
to kind of like refresh, like, hey, this is where we're at.
yeah, yeah. So I think it perfectly fits into the Cradle image.
So let's talk a little bit about the new record then. It's just so I'm
Mm.
not keeping you too much longer. So starting to kind of write and get the record going. When did that process?
Say it again.
When you guys decided to like consciously start writing for the next record? When did that process start, and what did that look like for you guys?
I think it started pretty soon after the same year Zoe and Donny joined the band. So we
Okay.
started to bounce and ideas, the way I described via emails. Later on, we did those Zoom calls with Zoe, Donny. I think we entered studio. It took quite a bit longer because over the last few years, the Cradle is really busy with the touring. So it's not easy to focus on writing or plan recording when we are frequently on tour. So I think we started with the recording in March or April 2023, actually.
Okay.
Other members, are you there?
Yeah, I see you kind of breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like we are a bit freezing, yeah, but it's okay.
Yeah.
So then we record the other instruments. The process usually is we're recording like separately, instrument per instrument. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, there was then there's a whole another story with each and every record, which is in my opinion as important as a writing or recording, and that's a post-production stage, mixing, mastering, which is of course the art of our great producer Scott Atkins from Grindstone Studio, Suffolk, where we basically recorded all of records during my time in the band, since Hammer of the Witches, and the band cooperate with Scott even before.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know you've been working with the same guy from the record for a while now, but I don't know what it is about this record, but the guitar tone on this record sounds amazing. Like everything is so clear, and then the riffs are just like they're monstrous. So I'm curious what you guys did differently to kind of like bring that sound out more.
That's a very good question. Thanks for asking. I think the part of it is that, as I mentioned, we tried to move a bit. So we tried a bit of not a new, but a new after years of experiment or doing stuff with a lot of orchestration. Mm-hmm. On this record, we tried to strip it down quite a lot, I think, and instead of heavy orchestration, used more like classic keyboards and synthesizers. So that's why I think the guitar riffs and the guitar sound shines as well, because it's not covered with a busy orchestration, which is nothing against about a good orchestration, but
right.
I think it was a time for a bit change or step up from what we did a couple of last records.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, you can tell that part of it too, that there isn't as much, which it took me a couple times to notice that. I was like, man, what's like not here that I'm used to hearing? I was listening to the record with my friend, there's no orchestra. It's like very minimal if there is any. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. I'm an idiot. Can't believe I didn't notice it.
Yeah, no, it means that means that we did it correct, because you can't tell like from a first listening, but you feel something is different. Yeah? Mm-hmm. So I think we did a really like appropriate touch.
Yeah. As far as like the solos and kind of the lead guitar parts, playing more of that, is that you or Donny, or are you guys switching it up with each?
We're sharing pretty equally, which was the thing throughout all records in my time, within my time in Cradle. So it's like 50-50 basically. Yeah. Okay. I mean, there might be melody or fill or solo, and one guy might play something extra, but let's say it's pretty much 50-50.
Okay. Yeah, there's some like, especially in the first track that got released, Live Deliciously, like that solo, I mean, just rips.
So there are two solos. There are first solo is Donny, which is I think it was my favorite one out of him, and second solo is me. Yeah, so we're trading.
Oh. All right, that's good to know. Then I was curious because I was like, man, they just
you can tell the difference on this record, and it was quite when we if we stop for a bit talking about this song and its solo section, that was a kind of new approach for me, because the solo I came in looked a bit different, but I've been pushed by Scott to try a more melodic approach, and he was even suggested that needs a wah-wah pedal. I was like, I don't have a wah-wah pedal with me. And he was like, I have fun here. Because, Peter from Vader are recording in Grindstone Studio as well, left the one in the studio because his suitcase was somehow overweight or stuff. So thanks, Peter, kudos.
Very nice.
So we tried that one and it really works. So I decided to use the wah-wah pedal even more. I use it in the other solo. It was You're My Nautilus, and I really like this, the different approach of different styles. Yeah, there's nothing more boring than two guys, cleaning the fretboards, as we say in my country.
Shred.
So I like the mood change, the style change actually. So you can tell this is this person, this is this person. Yeah.
I have to listen to that a little more closely then, see if I now that I know what it is, now I'll be listening a little bit more to see the differences styles. 'Cause if you're just listening, you don't know who's doing what,
Yeah, sure. But you can tell by the video, because there is a video clip for To Live Deliciously. It was a second single. Yeah.
Okay, sweet. I will check that out even after this. So let's see. You said how long was it for recording? I'm sorry, I might have missed that.
You mean the whole record? I think
just how long you guys took.
We started 2013. I think we have actually all instruments. I might need to check, but I think almost all instruments might be ready by the end of 2013. Then there were some outtakes. Vocal recordings. Then of course there is the big stage with the mixing, the record. Mm-hmm. I think the mixing engineers are actually a lot underrated, in favor of producers. I think the good mixing engineers should be much more appreciated, actually, because a while ago I tried to study a bit of mixing by myself, and I had a great teacher, and I recognized how crazy amount of work and knowledge it is. Yeah. Fortunately, we have a producer and mixing engineer in one person, Scott Atkins, so he had everything under control.
So as far as the whole of making a record, from demoing, writing, recording, what is your favorite part out of all of that?
Playing songs live.
Yeah, hey, no, that's a great answer too.
But the process of cooking is exciting as well. Sometimes it's a bit stressful, but it's a part of the process. Yeah. I like to hear how the songs are coming up to life, and then hearing the studio results, which are another level compared to the demos. Yeah. We even changing bits and pieces in the studio because starting with drum sound, you realized, wow, this is different. This is another level. How about trying this or this?
Yeah, too, with the way Donny does some of his vocal patterns too. He will probably have to change stuff, or you guys will probably have to change stuff to match what each other are doing.
Sure. Yeah.
So, out of all that, what are you most excited to play live then for the new record?
Well, we already played first single, Malignant Perfection, which came out last year. So we played it during whole European tour, and I'm excited to play more stuff out of new record, but of course I can't tell you which ones. So
all right.
You have to wait not long. For not long, because the tour is starting 2 weeks or so. I mean the American one. Yeah. So, but I can't, and I don't want to, reveal the moment of surprise.
No problem. All right, one final question here, kind of a history podcast. I would like to get your opinion on this. Even though you were a band, I assume you were a fan of the band before you joined. Midian is celebrating its anniversary this year, so I would love to hear your thoughts on that record and what about it has made it stand the test of time 25 years later.
It's good that you and very appropriate you were mentioning Midian, because from what I heard and read, feedback from fans or journalist reviews, a lot of them mentioning the feel or vibe of a Midian. They feel the vibe of a Midian on the new record, which is great, because Midian is one of my, what else to say?
Yeah,
I mean, it stood the test of time, and it's amongst top favorite records during the Cradle fans. Yeah, so including me. Yeah, I mean, I was first introduced to Cradle music via Cradle and the Beast, which is my number one.
Yeah,
but I think Midian might be just the next one, or even on the same level for me.
Yeah, I feel like when you talk to most people of the band, it's whatever record they heard first that is usually their favorite. Mine's a weird one. Like, I heard Damnation first, so that's my favorite, and then Midian right next to it, man. So they're just comparable. But yeah, the band long history, and the fact that they're still here 30 plus years later is incredible. So the record's out now. As far as people watching and listening, where can they follow you or look for you guys on tour? Any social media stuff you want to let people know?
Yeah, there is there is a quite updated Instagram and Facebook page for Cradle of Filth. Also, cradleoffilth.com official website, where you can find all the info about upcoming tour dates, new merchandise and stuff, and some funny posts as well.
Yeah. Well, Ashok, thank you so much for taking the time. To really appreciate it. So glad, man. The new album's amazing. I love the guitars. I probably will be at one of those shows when you guys. So thank you so much for taking the time.
Hit us up, for the guest list and stuff.
Sure. Yeah, I would appreciate it.
Thank you, Dustin, for having me, and yeah.